I'm your I'm your NC today, and as you may recall, we don't record the meditation because of copyright, but we do send it as a link that you can see again if you choose to or share it with others. Today's session is Reclaiming Health and Wholeness, the Healing of the Inner Child. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our series too before I introduce our presenter today, who's our Myrna Lapres, who you may have known from the past. Our group is started as a group of coaches who've been trained by Hilda Wyman. Her study, her practice is generational healing. And we're also members of Women's Federation for World Peace. This is our new 30-year pin over here, if you can see it. And we're celebrating 30 years since the founding. And Women's Federation's vision is women working together to establish a culture of heart in the family, community, nation, and world in order to achieve genuine and sustainable peace under God. We've been enjoying our series, and sometimes I think we would come even if no one else showed up, because for us, we benefit so much. So we hope today you will experience benefit too. This may be a new topic for you, but it isn't a new topic for Myrna Lapres. I even attended one of her book club approach to inner child, but it was so healing and so phenomenal for me that I only hope we're helping you be introduced to this topic. So if it's meaningful to you, you can explore it more. So Myrna can share more about her desire for the introduction, but if you have questions for her about how she got her experience with this, you can ask it in our Q&A at the end. And also please be putting your words in the chat. And also my job is to remind you that we will be going to mute after we introduce ourselves. So here we are. I'm in Anchorage, Alaska, and I've told you what attracted me to this. I loved the whole self-care approach to having a happy life. So let's go with Lisa, and I guess I can call your name so we'll be sure to catch everybody.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I live in Florida and I work with Myrna and Donna and Roseanne. And I'm happy to be here. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Lisa. Monica? I can't hear you, Monica. Try it.
I'm so sorry, I forgot to push the button here. I'm working in Northern California. With Women's Federation. I've been active for quite a while, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Blandine, or is it Blondine? Say it correctly.
Yeah, my name is Blondine Stringer. I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and I was very interested in this. The title, Self-Care is Not Selfish, is really what piqued my interest. And he said, yes, that's right. I want to know more. So that's why I'm here.
Welcome. Thank you. Shirley?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Shirley Chimes. I'm in Denver, and I'm interested in everything that Myrna does. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us today. Cynthia?
I live in New Jersey, and I had heard Hanka last month talk about watch your words and how to organize your thoughts, and I thought this series might be very good. So that's why I'm here, and I invited her to come to mine next month. But I like this.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth?
Hi, yeah, I'm in New York right now, and I like the title Inner Child. And Myrna for me is like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I'm a big, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you for joining us, New York. Marlena, is that correct? You're next on my screen. Oh, you need to unmute.
I'm Marlena, and I'm also from New York.
Have you been to any of our series before?
I did, well, I don't know if it's the same series, so I'm going to say no.
Welcome. I'm glad you could be here. Felicitas.
Yes, hi, my name is Felicitas. I'm living in Pennsylvania, and I'm very interested in the inner child work. Yes, there's always something new to learn. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Victoria.
Hi, I'm Victoria, and I am from Seattle, and I've been at this self-care is not selfish meetings for a few times, and I like them. Thank you.
Welcome back, and thank you. On our screen says Hana, but you go by Hanka, right? Tell us about that.
Well, I'm from the Czech Republic, and I like to join this self-care is not selfish series because I like to learn how to heal ourselves and how to pass it on to others, and I'm interested in inner child healing a lot. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And Hanka was a presenter in the past. And by the way, Women's Federation also has some of our content on the website. Lourdes, it's your turn now. Oh, you need to unmute, please. I'm so sorry.
Okay, dear. Thank you so much. My name is Lourdes Viant. I live in Little Ferry, New Jersey, and I always enjoy all these presentations that the Women Federation for World Peace offers, and I'm very glad to be part of this event. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I wanted to say before I move on, Roseanne is saying her background noise is too much, and she's in Oregon, and she's one of our groups. So I'm introducing her on behalf of her desire to be muted today. Mary, you're next up. Oh, you're also muted. Let's unmute you.
My name?
Where are you from, and what brought you here today? And your name.
My name is Mary Hida. I'm from Henderson, Nevada, near Las Vegas. Yeah, I want to do self-care and be together with like-hearted women.
Perfect. And Svetlana, please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Svetlana. I live in Washington State. Yeah, thank you for invitation. I'm happy to learn. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I don't know how to say your name, but it's Kinio, maybe? Please introduce yourself or speak if you want to.
Okay, this is my first appearance on Zoom. I really don't like Zoom. I mean, on the camera. But anyway, everybody is so nicely, I can see the face. So anyway, at least introduction. Okay, my name is Kinio Deni, and especially Myrna has been really, a really family friend, and she's really a special person for us, for us family. But anyway, recently, I have been taking care of 96 years of my mother-in-law. And even at that age, she kept telling me that she had such a difficult relationship with her father. So And this topic is really, no matter how old we become, we really need to face it and deal with it. That I made me realize. So yeah, that's why today I'm attending this session.
Well,
Thank you.
welcome. Don't be afraid to keep your picture there. We feel you're more present with us, but whatever you choose. And then I have three others. The last one I'd like to present is asked to speak is Linda Nishikawa. So Dr. Nishikawa will be last. Dee, I'm seeing that you're connecting to audio. Can you speak to us? I haven't gotten you connected yet. It still says connecting to audio. And then if that's difficult for you, then the last person is Rasik with the beautiful little hearts. Can either of you introduce yourselves? I can't hear you, Rasik, because you're muted. Let's see. And Dee, you're still having difficulty with your audio, it looks like. Okay. Sometimes I guess this happens. Please, I will then, if neither of you can come on with your audio, then I will ask Dr. Nishikawa to introduce herself. She is our esteemed and precious representative for our subregion 5, and who recently went to Korea for the 30th anniversary for Women's Federation with our founder, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. So, Ms. Nishikawa.
Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome. Yes, it was quite amazing to go to Korea and spend time with the most amazing woman on this earth, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. She is really a pillar in terms of even creating this platform for all of us to work together as women, Women's Federation for World Peace. And so this, and Region 5 is the best. I'm gonna throw that in there because of you all. I think Region 5 is very creative, very powerful, and really has the mother's heart in terms of this is, I really love coming to this because it gives you so much kind of introspective how important we are as women. We are the harmonizers and givers of life. We are the givers of life, and we are the ones that totally give and sacrifice in our families. So it's really important to learn how to give to ourselves so that we can give more. So thank you so much, Myrna and Donna and Roseanne and everybody that is doing this incredible and very important work. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like Dee might be available to talk, and I'm so grateful. Rasik, it looks like, says she doesn't want to be on the screen and she's in a hospital bed and she's glad to be here. Rasik, we're glad to be here, that you're here too. Dee, can you speak? Still not working? Okay. So when you get a chance later, you can speak to us and hopefully your sound will start working. It's my pleasure to introduce Myrna and to remind you that we do need to mute, but it looks like everybody is muted. And that today's webinar is being recorded, and that we will be sharing afterwards over Q&A. So Myrna, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for being here. And I'm really happy to share about, well, I like all aspects of connected to self-care isn't selfish, because we can do more for others as we heal ourselves. We're able to heal our families and our communities and ideally the world. So I'm going to share my screen right now. All right. And so as was already said, our topic today is reclaiming health and wholeness, healing of the inner child. And I think it's really important to understand that in order to have healthy relationships with others, we have to begin with ourselves by developing greater self-awareness, begin noticing things that come up and not push them down, and also to learn skills and tools to heal. So this is just a really introductory webinar today. We can only do so much in the hour and a half that we have here together. But there will be several points in the presentation where I will ask you to make a note about something, to write something down so that you can be able to think about it and share about it later in the breakout room. So hopefully you have somewhere nearby you, or you can quickly grab some paper and pen or pencil. Also, I think it's important to acknowledge upfront that as we're talking about our childhood, our inner child, our past experiences, whatever age they were, that sometimes strong emotions come up, like anxiety, fear, sadness, anger. And so I just ask you to do your best today to set aside your own judgment about anything that comes up, that you just allow yourself to feel, give yourself permission to feel whatever comes up. So the reality is, in our life, none of us had perfect parents. Our parents did the best they could with whatever they knew and their circumstances, but they also didn't have perfect parents. And our culture doesn't exactly support health and wholeness. Many times there's difficulties in schools, with friends, and even in workplaces. But the reality is that most of the dysfunction develops because, at least the seeds of it develop, because we didn't experience unconditional love in our formative years. So for the sake of talking about the inner child, I want to use a model that those of us who are coaches trained by Hilda Wienman were introduced through her generational healing. There's a basic model of 4 inner parts. So we were born with our original self and also our inherited self. So there's our divine nature that we are born with as sons or daughters of God. And there's our inherited self that we inherited from our ancestors, from what was passed down through generations. And also, as we grew, we inherited things from caretakers and those around us. And when we experienced differing degrees of difficult experiences that resulted in pain and wounding, a part of us sort of got stuck. And we call this our wounded inner child. So it could be that we experience some kind of, we remember some kind of experience we had with shame or blame, or even we forgot about it because it was too painful to think about. And these wounded experiences are things that we carry with us, whether we're aware of them or not. And typically we create ways of coping with these painful experiences. And so we might develop masks that we wear, the way that we show up in the world. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that might look like in a minute. And also other ways of numbing the pain. And the reality is that we do these things in order to cope and to survive. So in a way, they're they're protecting us. But at some point in our life, we can get tired of carrying all of this with us. And we can become exhausted of hiding our true selves. And that's where the fourth part of our model comes in, the loving adult, because we want to identify who we truly are, and we want to show up and we want to be seen for the good qualities that we are. And it's this higher loving self, and we're going to talk about this more today, how that can help us to heal those past wounded experiences. And also we can give ourselves permission to feel comfortable enough to maybe take off some of the masks and realize that we can be loved even when we're not perfect. So we were all born innocent and trusting, and when as a child, if you have any young children in your life, grandchildren or neighbors or your own children, or just remembering yourself, you know that children show up very openly, whatever is happening, whether it's good or bad, whether it's painful or joyful, that's how they show up. And when, as we learned through difficult experiences and our own wounding, then we often had, we learned to hide maybe those more free parts of ourselves. And the painful emotions that we experienced maybe when we were young and we had difficult experiences that we didn't know how to handle, we unconsciously wrapped them up and put them away. It's like the way that we use a freezer, we wrap up food and we put it in the freezer to be used later. So this, for within ourselves, experiences and emotions, this is largely unconscious. It's just a way of coping with a situation that was too difficult for us to handle. But the reality is, just like the freezer runs on energy, which we have to pay every month, we have to pay the bill. In the same way, there is energy that is running in the background for us to keep those memories wrapped up, and maybe even unconsciously in our physical body. And sometimes we experience the result of it in our physical body. But as an adult, especially with the loving adult, we can learn to take those out of the freezer, to unwrap them, maybe one at a time, and to work through them, to figure out how to make sense of them, and to heal them and integrate them back into ourselves. So some painful emotions that almost everyone has experienced in the past are ones like fear, panic, being afraid, being rejected, being left alone or abandoned, not feeling safe, feeling violated where someone they hurt us in some way, or they used us or misused us, anger, even hatred, sadness, and loneliness. There's many more. I just made a list here, but I'd like you to think for a minute about a painful emotion or experience that you remember from your childhood, and just take a few minutes to write down what you remember from that experience. Just jot down a phrase or a word that helps you remember, because as I said, we're going to have a chance to share this in the breakout room later. And you can share as much or as little as you feel comfortable with. And as I mentioned earlier, these experiences and emotions, the way that we learn to manage and to survive with them are coping methods. We develop coping methods that can run the range of learning to numb the pain. And there's many areas like addictive kinds of behavior: shopping, binge watching, eating, drinking, using porn, watching porn, using drugs, using sex, scamming, gambling, being overly concerned about our appearances. And, you know, all of these can be a result of not wanting to feel the pain. So we use those things to numb ourselves. And I realized even just recently that sometimes when I feel pain, I translate that as that I'm hungry and I need something to eat. And sometimes it's just because I want to avoid the pain. So becoming aware of these kinds of things is an important step. Another way that we cope is that we learn to wear a mask, or how we show up in relationship with other people. So these masks, these things aren't in themselves something that's bad, but when we're using it as a way of coping with something that was painful, then it's not integrated into our whole being. So some people are people pleasers over to the point where they don't take care of themselves. They bend over backwards to help other people. Some people became the class clown. Sometimes we act like a victim, and that's part of like learning to recognize when we experience things of happening to me and we take things personally, even when it wasn't meant that way. That's acting like a victim. Sometimes people like they brag or show off. Sometimes we're a caretaker for others and denying our own feelings, becoming a loner, being sarcastic or a rebel, angry all the time, being a perfectionist, having it all together, acting like we have it all together, being overly responsible. When I was a child, my mother was quite emotionally up and down. And I decided at my young age that I'm the oldest in my family, that emotions were scary. And I didn't want to have anything to do with emotions. I just didn't want to have any. So I became the responsible one, and I learned to get my value from doing things and organizing stuff. And as I'm looking back, I'm realizing now that it was a way for me to cope, to try to make order out of chaos. And, you know, also we can look at what we were running from: the disapproval of somebody, our parent, our teacher, or feeling insecure or not feeling in control. So we're running towards getting that approval, even when it means acting in a way that's not our true self. Some kind of security that we know we're okay or someone's got our back, and also having some control in our life. So again, I ask you to look at this list and to write down something that you recognize. You don't have to write down everything if they all resonate with you, but just write down one or two things that you recognize that, oh, yeah, I think I do that. So I want to say also that if you don't really connect with the emotions or the coping method, it's okay. If it's not something that you have been paying attention to before, then sometimes, you know, we still are in a point where we aren't aware of how things happen. But when we come to the place that we don't want to live like this anymore, we don't want to be fake, or we don't want to show up in a way that compromises who our true self is, then we need our loving adult or our higher self. And what our wounded child needs is for the loving adult, that means who we are most of the time, to make time to be present, to allow ourselves to notice things, to become aware of the ways that we show up. And especially when something happens and we feel stressed about it. Recently, I was going to the local gym, and I went into the swimming pool and the hot tub, and when I got out, I went to take a shower, and I hung my swimming suit up on a hook to drip dry. And when I came out of the shower, my swimming suit was moved, and I found it eventually around the corner. So I guess someone really needed to use that hook that I hung it on. But I found myself getting upset about it, and I'm like, okay, this is just they didn't take my swimming suit. Why am I getting so upset about this? So this was recently, like a month ago, you know. So I'm still on this journey of healing my inner child as well. But I recognize, okay, it's connected to my the pain or the wounding of not being acknowledged for who I am as a child. And you know, I recognize, oh wow, that happens to me a lot, that I take it personally when someone else does something and they aren't meaning to personally offend me or attack me, but I take it personally. So just beginning to notice that is an important step in this process. We also have to practice patience with ourselves and with our inner child. We have to accept that we're not perfect, that we make mistakes, and learn sort of to be okay with that and not to hold ourselves to such a unreasonably high standard, and learning to love ourselves without judgment. And also we need to make time to remember and to process these things. Sometimes at the end of the day is when we can look back and notice things that happened that maybe we didn't have time in the moment to do that, by journaling, meditating, praying, and to strive to be more accepting of ourselves and less judgmental. And when we do that for ourselves, in turn, then we can do that for other people. And also we need to make time in our lives to do things that bring us joy. You know, I used to, like maybe 8 years ago, I used to buy plants in my backyard and then I never paid any attention to them. I didn't water them enough and they always died. So that's one of my things I'm doing now, is that I'm trying to cultivate my backyard to be a place that I nourish, and it's a reminder for me to nourish myself as well. And another thing that I did when I lived in Georgia for 5 years was I discovered that there was a community band there. And music has always been something that brings me joy. And I was able to join the community band and play my flute every week, which really helped me to be part of a group, something bigger than myself, and to bring a little bit more joy into my life. And as we're doing all these things, we can begin to learn to regulate our emotions. Sometimes we have to walk away when we're getting upset, or sometimes we have to maybe say no to certain situations or people that cause us too much stress, and find time to nourish our child without giving into the impulses of getting angry or just going to the extreme of not doing things that we don't want to do. And our loving adult can also help us make necessary boundaries. Again, recognizing that certain people, I have to limit my interaction with them because it still triggers things within me. And always seeing ourselves as worthy, recognizing that we, there used to be this poster about, I forget the exact wording, but the essence was that God doesn't make junk. Each of us is a beautiful representation of Heavenly Parent. And also this process is how we reparent our inner child, by noticing, by paying attention, by making time and space in our lives to begin to unwrap the wounds, that the wounded memories and experiences we put into the freezer, and to deal with them maybe one by one. And as we do this, then we can also ask ourselves stories, or our inner child. Why does this is this happening? Why do I overreact in this kind of situation? Or why do I show up like this? And if you have the opportunity to talk to, if your parents are still alive or your siblings, sometimes asking stories, asking things from them help us have a better perspective of things in the past. And learning how to meet our needs, giving ourselves permission to say no to things, practicing accepting myself with non-judgment. You know, Carl Rogers said, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change. So, you know, when we try to be something that we're not, it doesn't work. But when we accept ourselves with real love says warts and all, then we can begin to change those aspects of ourselves that we want to heal. And that's part of reparenting ourselves. It might mean that we need wise guidance in this process. It might mean that we need a counselor or a coach or a group of, a small group, mentors, peers to support us and help us learn how to nourish ourselves. And when we have acceptance and non-judgment, that can lead then to integration of our inner child. Through this process, we can gradually open up and heal the wounds of from our original self, and lessen or remove the masks that we have been wearing. And our original self then can come forward, and we begin living from our core. And slowly, our inner child and our loving adult becomes integrated. This is the healing of the inner child. So this process takes a lot of time. And I always like to say that I'm a wounded healer. I'm on this journey with everybody else. And it's you know, we need to be here to help each other and to be there for each other. And I'd like to share with you a meditation. I'm going to stop sharing the screen here so I can get that other one ready. Hold on. I'd like to share with you a meditation that I experienced. I experienced it in a course that I took with, it's called Radical Wholeness, and I'll say a little bit more about that afterwards. But it's a meditation that is helping us to recognize the conditional love that we often show ourselves, and the mask that we wear to cope with the pain and wounding. And because we can't change what we don't recognize, we can't change something that we don't acknowledge or recognize in ourselves, then, you know, that's where it starts. And healing of the inner child starts with our self-knowledge and acceptance. So the meditation is 12 minutes long, which is kind of long. We don't usually use those long of meditations, but I really feel like this is a very healing kind of meditation, and it's a little bit confronting. So I want you to try your best to notice what comes up without self-judgment. You're welcome to turn off your camera for this 12 minutes. And the guide for the meditation is Sarah Oben, who is one of the staff of the Radical Wholeness. Okay, sorry, 1 second. I got to start this.
The first part of loving yourself is honesty. It is saying the truth about yourself without turning away from it. We cannot love what we are unable to see.
I'm going to stop it for 1 second. Can you guys hear the sound okay? Okay. I'm going to start it over.
The first part of loving yourself is honesty. It is saying the truth about yourself without turning away from it. We cannot love what we are unable to see, what we are unable to feel. The following is a short visualization to guide us in seeing ourselves honestly and seeing how we trade different things in our lives for approval, for security, and for control. Take a moment to slowly close your eyes, sit up straight, and notice your breath. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and slowly exhale. Take another deep breath in, hold, and exhale, pushing all the air out. Push it all out. One more time, take a deep breath in, hold, and exhale. Now allow yourself to breathe naturally and normally. Now imagine waking up one day and you notice that your face has different blemishes on it, different spots, maybe even some warts. And when you go outside, what you do is you hide your face, and instead you have these coins. On each coin is an image of yourself, a fake image. It's the image of a beautiful face, a face that you want people to see. Sometimes the face is beautiful, handsome, pretty. Other times the face is powerful, intimidating, and controlling. Other times the image of the face is a victim. He's sad and he's taken care of. Now imagine that you go out to your day and the first person you meet asks you how you are doing. Instead of showing your face to that person, you take out a coin. On the coin is an image of yourself that looks better than how you really are. And you give them that coin and you say, here, this is how I'm doing. In exchange for the coin, the fake image of your face, they give you approval. They also give you a coin that has an image of their face that's also fake. And in exchange, you give them approval. Imagine you go through your day and you're confronted by your boss, and he wants to know where your project is. Instead of telling the whole truth, you give another coin. This time the coin has the face of a victim. You give that coin to your boss, along with an excuse of why something isn't done. In exchange, Your boss gives you approval. Imagine meeting people throughout the entire day, and instead of letting them see the real you in each exchange, you give them a coin of a picture of your face. Each time, you hide who you are. You lie about how you really are, how you're really feeling. And you do this in exchange for their approval. Sometimes getting their approval isn't enough. And so you exchange coins that are powerful, intimidating, and controlling. And in exchange for that coin, you get control. You go through your whole day, never letting anyone see the real you, giving out these coins and collecting approval and control. In exchange for something, coins that aren't the real you. At the end, you go home and you stand in front of the mirror. You take off the mask that's hiding your real face and you see yourself for who you really are. But even then, you notice the fear and the emptiness that you feel inside of you from not really loving yourself. And in your emptiness and in that terror, you pull out another coin and you hand it to the person in the mirror that you see in exchange for your own approval. You hand them another coin for exchange for more control. Look at yourself in the mirror. Really look. Do you like yourself? How do you feel about your life? How do you feel about your body? What stories does your real face tell? And now notice the trading. Notice the transactions that have become your life. Notice how each of the faces on the coins that you trade are not the real you. They are some type of distortion, subtle untruths, quiet or loud manipulations of how you really are. Take a moment and look at yourself in the mirror. Put the coins away. And look at yourself. Notice the imperfections, the fears, the anxieties, the things that are good and the things that are bad. Place your hand on your chest and imagine speaking to that person in the mirror. and say, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And imagine that person in the mirror looking at you now, seeing you with the blemishes and the warts and the spots and the imperfections. And imagine that person in the mirror looking right into your eyes, right into your soul, seeing all of you and saying, I love you. I love you. I see you. And I love you. I love you. Notice how it feels to be loved and to be seen. Feel the love that you could never buy, that none of your coins could ever earn. Notice the gift of loving yourself. That's free. Now, when you're ready, allow yourself to slowly come back to the room that you're in, where you're sitting. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. The first part of loving yourself
Okay, so as I said before we started, remind yourself that this journey of healing the inner child is one that we have to work from a place of acceptance and non-judgment. And we can't actually love others if we can't love ourselves, if we can't do, this inner work. So you're going to have an opportunity now to go into the breakout rooms. And as I said before, that you can share with as much or as little as you want to. Even if you saying something like that this experience was difficult or challenging, or I didn't have a lot of things coming up. Even that's noticing, that's paying attention to ourselves. So we'll have about 12 minutes in the room, and there'll be 2 or 3 people in each room. So please make sure that each person in the room gets an opportunity to share. If they choose to pass, that's okay too. And if you can, in the rooms, please turn on your camera if you can, and then when we come back, then we'll have the opportunity to share as a whole group. Okay, I'm going to open the rooms now. So welcome back, everyone. So we have a few minutes. If anyone would like to share anything that came up for themselves in the presentation, in the meditation, in your room, just have to unmute yourself and go ahead and share.
this is Dee. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
For me, what came up for me, and I shared it with the group, our group, is that my mom passed away when I was 2 or 3 years old. I think I was 3. And she passed away from asthma. And it just looking at myself, not feeling loved because we were taken away and raised by her sister. But it wasn't that she didn't love us, her sister. It's just that I felt the Lord I didn't know it was God. I didn't say God at the time because I was only 3, but it brought me back just looking at myself and looking at how I was raised, and along with my siblings, you know, it did bring me to look at the fact that I believe that's why I never really cared about relationships with the opposite sex or anybody really. And I could never hold on to when I started dating in college, and I could never hold on to anybody or anything or anyone that when they say that they love me, I never heard that word a whole lot. So I think that's why I was never able to keep a relationship. That I had to really look at myself, that I didn't feel lovable. I didn't think I was lovable.
Thank you, Dee.
Yeah.
The good news is that as we realize things, as we notice things, we can begin to heal them. And, you know, I can't change the past, but I can change what happens and how I show up, what I do going forward. I can become a more open person or more loving, but I do have to be able to recognize and then begin to heal those parts of me. Yeah, thank you, Dee. Someone else like to share?
Yeah, I can share.
Okay.
Liz, we can't hear you.
That's
Oh,
Liz.
can you?
Right. I can hear you. Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, I just had such an amazing group with Blandine and Hannah. And for me, it's really hard to share. Like if something comes up, immediately I feel kind of blocked or frozen. But then I always let Blandine and Hannah go first. And then it really opened up that we can help each other so much. And yeah, what Hannah shared about, you know, what we're going on with our parents. Right now, I'm with my mom a lot. Yeah, my dad passed on 2 weeks ago, so I'm here with my mom for about a month, and everything's coming out. I'm asking her a lot of questions, and so many things are coming up for me. All kinds of memories that were buried, and what Hannah shared was so deep that this is affecting our husband and wife relationship. And I was like, whoa, you know, that yeah, what triggers me with my husband is actually the same thing that triggers me with my mom. And so I just feel like yeah, this is so important, this work. And yeah, we had such a great sharing. So yeah, thank you. Thank you to my group.
Thank you, Liz. Someone else like to share?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, for
Welcome,
me, it's
Claudia.
my group. Yeah, I explained about I grew up in a big family, but I was shy to explain what I'm feeling. Most of the time, if I see something is wrong, I become lonely. I go to my bedroom reading, and when now I become old, I see the same character in my children. When they see something is wrong, they go to their room. They don't talk. Yeah, you need to go to them to ask them what is going wrong, and you need to talk to them. But by myself, talking is very hard. You know, I needed to read and meditation. when something is wrong, I become very lonely. Yeah, that is what I share with people, my group.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudine. Yeah, I guess reading can be a coping method, right? We can read to kind of escape our current situation and kind of calm down. And yeah. Someone else like to share? We have time for one more person, I think.
I'm really grateful to be with Mary Hida because we shared. I mean, Mary's such a beautiful person. I was really grateful to be with her. But one thing that I think would help everybody is what she shared. And I'm sure she wouldn't mind. She sings the song, "I Am a Child of God." And that really just like breaks through a lot of stuff when you can play that on YouTube. I am a child of God. Just go to YouTube and you validate your inner child. You validate that, that you're not alone in this course of healing, and you're not alone in this, and you are a child of God. You're a precious daughter of God. So thank you, Mary.
Who is that sung by? Who is that person that sings "I Am a Child of God"? Who's the author?
Do you know, Mary? Okay, maybe we can look for it and put it in the follow-up email that we send out.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, action music can really touch our hearts and open us up in a way that there's a number of really great songs, I think, to remind us of who we are. And, so I just want to share one final slide that okay, let's see here. What's happening? Slideshow, hold on, from current slide. Okay, so one additional way is also resources or books that help. And these two books on the left here, Recovery of Your Inner Child and The Child in You, are really, the pink one has a lot of drawing, and Lucia Cappuccioni has developed this method of using your non-dominant hand to allow your inner child to speak or to share and to get in touch with those things. And the Child in You has many activities and articles. And I would say that, if this is something that you would like to talk with other people, it could be a book club. It could be something where you meet together with some other women and you discover more about yourself and each other in the process. And then I just wanted to put the Radical Wholeness is the 10-week session course that I mentioned. And it's organized and presented by Heather Talheimer, David Young, and Sarah Oben. Of course, there are many other resources, but these are three that I just wanted to mention. And now at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Donna. And if you have any questions, just for time's sake, if you could put it in the chat, that would help make it flow easier.
Yes, thank you, Myrna. Thank you very much. What do you think, everybody? Wasn't that good? We have 8 minutes till we finish, and we wanted to give a few minutes to Lisa. So let's have, if you have any questions, I had one that came to mind that I put in the chat, and then another came up in our breakout group. I can mention those, but why don't somebody have a question that's bursting to be spoken?
Well, let's start with one of the questions that you have.
Well, a question that came up when you were speaking about, or when somebody was reading, we talked about reading as possibly coping, and is all coping bad?
Well,
how it is, I mean, bad is, putting a judgment on it, but what does
Well,
coping really mean?
I mean, coping basically means how we can manage with the challenging experience or the painful emotions that come up. So coping helps us to survive, to get through it. But if we really want to thrive, then that's, I think, that when we need to start looking at what emotions are that we need to pay attention to, and experiences that we need to recognize, even like Liz was saying, how I can recognize that challenges I have with my husband are also ones that I get triggered by something with my mother. So we recognize that actually sometimes we get upset at somebody, our child, our spouse, our friend, and our boss. And the thing is that we already have something there from our past. So our past impacts our present relationships in that way. So coping isn't bad, but it's surviving, not thriving.
I get it. I just recently, well, it feels recent. I lost my husband last year, and I'm in the process of deep grieving and trying to get all of that out. And it's a new area for me too. I mean, I've carried grief forward my whole life and didn't even realize all the layers of grief over different things, not losing a spouse, but so I get that. So, but coping is helping me survive as I get to those deeper layers. So that what you said just really rings true for me right now. Wanted to also bring up that some of us are really, really new to even the whole healing process in terms of getting in touch with our emotions. And I found myself thinking about, we were talking about an emotion wheel. Did Hanka talk about that? She gave us the emotion circle with the emotions. Was that Hanka, or have we had that? What do you suggest if this is really new and the whole idea of inner child? How to jump in more? This might have gotten your toes wet.
Well, I think that it starts by noticing things that happen, ways that we respond when we get upset or we get afraid, or we, like Claudine said, we're going to go into the room and just meditate or read a book or listen to music. Those things aren't bad, but if there's something that we need to pay attention to. So I think noticing, bringing up things that, becoming aware of things that we might overreact to, or we get afraid, and then exploring those. Why is this happening? So I think that's where it starts.
Thank you. Has anyone else discovered a question? Please unmute yourself. We have another half minute or a minute. And then we'll go to Lisa's presentation about the next session coming up. Any burning question left? So what is that expression? Hearing none? I will introduce Lisa.
Okay, so Linda's requesting we include the song "I Am a Child of God" in the next session. So we'll see what we can do about that, but definitely we'll send out the link. So thank you, everyone.
And Lisa Freistatter is a mom's empowerment coach, is how she expressed it to me. And I was like, wow, of course, every mom needs empowerment. And what I appreciate about learning how Lisa does her work is she's enthusiastic. Every time she joins our group, I feel and know that she has this amazing enthusiasm, and she's going to be giving a presentation on June 11th. Please introduce your presentation to us, Lisa.
So, hi everybody. I'm so honored to be here, be with you, and thank you, Myrna, for this amazing presentation, because especially that inner child meditation at the end, it's so healing for me. So I just wanted to say that before I start. So my presentation will be continuation for what Myrna shared and what Hanka shared last month. The topic is your beliefs dictate your destiny. And I know we all have heard that many, many times, but this is actually how our human operating system works. This is not just a cliche. Our beliefs dictate everything moment by moment, what we think and what we feel and what we do. So a long time ago, as we all know now with the inner child work, we came to a conclusion. We had an experience in our life and we gave a meaning for that experience. And we've been living through that experience our whole life. It's like a lens. We're looking through that lens our life, but it is unconscious. We don't know it. And many times our subconscious mind is protecting our beliefs and those meanings because the subconscious, because those experiences were not fully experienced, and it thinks that we can't handle them. It's protecting that. So that's why those beliefs are so deep in us, and that's why they're so hard to change. So if you, example, believe that I'm not good enough, so that emotion that you are, that belief that you're not good enough is playing in your life in moment by moment basis and dictates what you think. So you might have some self-critical thoughts about yourself, and those thoughts create action. And also you might feel some frustration and overwhelm, and you feel you are not good enough, because that creates a reaction in our body, our beliefs, our thought reaction in our body. And then that creates what we do in life and the results we have in life. And we are like in this loop. We're just repeating our beliefs over and over, and we have so much evidence that it reinforces itself. So how do you change something what we know is not working for us, but we know that it's not helping us? How do you change that? How do you change a belief? Because it's not substantial. And many people try with affirmations and meditation, and they do help. But the next time I want to share with you a new discovery, totally new. I want to give you some ideas and easy tools you can use every day to start changing those beliefs so that you can create the life you want, so that you can live fully and authentically, and you can create the relationship you truly want. So it's really had made a big difference in my own life. So I will say that I hope you have interest and time to join. I'm really looking forward for it. And thank you for being here. And I'm very honored that I can share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Also, we all want to thank you for being here with us today. And our time has ended. In honor of our time and our commitments, we will end our session now. Any last words from Myrna?
No, thank you. Join us next time and learn more.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye now.
Bye.
Bye.